Good morning or good afternoon or wherever you're at. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I am your host, Mike. Just going to go over and run down all the craziness of the first day of NFL free agency. My God, where some guys getting incredibly overpaid yesterday for marginal talent. I know Brock Osweiler being one of them. Many of my friends who are Texans fans were losing their damn mind yesterday with him getting, I think it was close to like $18 million a year. But I tried to reassure them. It can't be as bad as Brian Hoyer was last year, especially in that playoff game where he just looked like absolute dog shit. To get you updated on the latest news as I scroll through here and talk at the same time, it looks like the Bears and the Patriots are also both of them are interested in Denver's running back C.J. Anderson, as well as Miami, who he's visiting today. So that should be interesting to see how that works. Here's another interesting one that Brent Grimes, who was released from Miami after after the Dolphins traded for Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso. It says here that the reason he was released was the behavior of his wife. That she apparently became toxic and was ripping players and reporters alike publicly, and was arrested at one of their games last year. So that might explain why he was let go. That's kind of crazy. The other big news right now is that the trade for Colin Kaepernick is heating up. Excuse me. It seems like Denver or maybe even Cleveland might acquire Colin Kaepernick within the next day or two. Reports are that the Niners are looking for a second-round pick, and Denver doesn't really want to give that much up. So it's kind of a waiting game now. You know, who's going to blink first? The other deal that actually just happened this morning was Sean Smith, who used to be with the Chiefs, now signed a 4-year, $40 million contract with $20 million guaranteed to the Raiders. I think that's a great fit for them. He's at 6'4" and he's 215, really long arms. He's a good press corner, so that should be of big benefits to them. Let's see here. The other news as I scroll down, Derek Johnson was re-signed by the Chiefs for 3 years, $21 million. And this is a funny one. Pac-Man Jones eventually re-signs with the Bengals for a 3-year contract, which is not really surprising. I didn't think many teams would really want anything to do with him. If you guys want to get in and talk about your team, what they've done in free agency, if you're happy, if you're not happy, you can go ahead and give us a call on Skype through, you can find us under American Sports Connection, and you can get on here and voice your opinion. In other news, it says here, this was as of this morning, the Jets and free agent Ryan Fitzpatrick are nowhere close to agreeing to a deal. He's trying to drive up his price after he saw what Brock Osweiler got in Houston. I can't necessarily say that I blame him with the way the money that's been thrown around this off season. It's kind of crazy for marginal players that have gotten paid. It's just I know the league. I think it was 10 million or 12 million that the cap went up, but just some of these signings have just been fucking terrible. One that comes to mind is Oliver. Forgive me, I'm not remembering his first name. From the that was originally with Miami and is now with the Giants. He got. I'm not taking anything away from the guy's, his how good he is on the field and different things like that. But he really got overpaid. I'm trying to find the exact. He actually got more money than J.J. Watt, guaranteed money, $17 million. He's going to get $29 million in 2016 alone, and $54 million in the first 3 years of his deal. I mean, I respect the guy's talent, but for me, giving a guy more guaranteed money than J.J. Watt is just absurd. And then they also signed the Giants. Let me see if I can find it. There's just so many. They really did fix their defensive line. I'll give them that, because they re-signed JPP and they brought this Oliver kid in, and then signed another corner whose name escapes me at the moment. So I'll give them credit that they're trying to fix things, but it's just the way they're throwing money around is just kind of crazy to me, at least. One of my listeners I know will be happy with this. I do remember the Bears opened up their checkbooks and signed Danny Trevathan, I think is how you pronounce it, Trevathan. Correct me if I'm wrong. He got a big deal as well. I believe it was north of $7 or $8 million a year. I like Trevathan. He's a young player. He should fit in very nicely in the Bears. Linebackers. They desperately needed linebackers. After Briggs and Urlacher were gone, they really had no one to fill those shoes. Here's something interesting. That the local Cleveland paper, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, is reporting Johnny Manziel is drawing interest from as many as 3 different teams. So the Browns, instead of cutting him, might try to trade him to get something from him, out of him, as opposed to just cutting him and getting nothing for him. Here's some more news on Ryan Fitzpatrick. It says Albert Breer's reporting the Jets have offered free agent Ryan Fitzpatrick a little more money than what Chase Daniel got from the Eagles. Excuse me. And Daniel received $21 million over 3 years with a possible $15 million available in incentives, which is insane to me considering the Eagles just re-signed Sam Bradford. It makes you question if they're going to move him in the long run. So they're going to have to step it up if they want to keep Fitzpatrick because he wants more money. And I can't blame the guy. He had a really good season last year for them. That's the first stellar quarterback play they've had in any number of years. Let's see here as I scroll through. Here's the other story I didn't get to tell yesterday due to technical problems. The Byron Maxwell trade with the Eagles almost completely fell through. The original deal was supposed to be, from what I've read, was supposed to be the Eagles were going to trade Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso and their first round pick, to the Dolphins for their first round pick and a fourth round pick. That's originally what the deal was supposed to be. Well, what had happened yesterday morning, I'll say like 8, 9 o'clock, because when I took my son to school, I heard this on the local radio. Byron Maxwell went to go take his physical and complained to the doctors that his shoulder was bothering him, and that he couldn't do push-ups or any bench presses since the end of the season, which is totally not true, because on local Philly talk radio, which I'm near, it was reported that he was doing those things as of last week. So apparently he was trying to sandbag the trade at some point. Maybe he didn't want to renegotiate his contract or something. But when he officially got to go to the doctor to take his physical, he denied that he ever told the physician that, and that it wasn't true, and all those types of things. But eventually the trade got pushed through, but the Eagles didn't pick up that fourth round pick like it was originally supposed to be. And I was thinking Kiko Alonso was going to be the problem with his bad knee, passing a physical. I thought that was going to be the problem in the trade, but Byron Maxwell wanted to be difficult about it and make it, harder than it had to be. And the other trade that went through yesterday morning was DeMarco Murray going to the Titans for a fourth-round pick. Well, I should say that the Eagles and the Titans flip-flopped picks in the fourth round, where the Eagles, I think, moved up 12 or 13 spots in the first round, the fourth round, and now the Titans have Murray. Well, I'm really intrigued to see how he's going to do down in Tennessee. That's actually a really good fit for him because they needed a bell cow back down there to, take the pressure off of Marcus Mariota so that he's not getting killed back there. However, I don't know if DeMarco Murray is ever going to be the same after Dallas ran him 500 plus times, or whatever the ridiculous number was in 2014, I believe, or 13, one of those. Because he just looked slow and old and just not the same in Philly that year. I mean, granted, Chip Kelly didn't help running sweeps and different things that, can't really help him in that sense. Some other news, Matt Forte, he signed with the Jets yesterday for $12 million, and $8 of that is supposedly guaranteed. That'll be an interesting fit, considering Chris Ivory left and is no longer there. And it says here he can earn another $4 million through incentives. And as far as the running backs go, Doug Martin got $7.15 million a season from Tampa. Lamar Miller, who I think is a really good fit for Houston, got 6.5 there, and Chris Ivory got 6.4 million per from Jacksonville, which I think is a good fit also. It's just strange because they drafted for Jacksonville. They drafted a kid last year to be their guy, and he had a 1,000-yard season, and now they go and bring in Chris Ivory. I guess they're looking for a 1-2 kind of punch here. And then they shelled out big money to Malik Jackson to free up their front four, which should be very interesting. I feel like they're ready to take the next step because they have the talent on offense, Jacksonville, with Bortles and Allen Robinson and Hitman Hearns and Julius Thomas. I mean, they can put up points. To me, the question was always their leaky defense, which was kind of shocking when you consider Gus Bradley was the big guy in Seattle the year they, went on their runs and were really dominant and didn't really, put up a lot of points. In other news, Chris Long, Howie Long's son, is visiting the Falcons today. He has also visited the Redskins and will visit the Cowboys. I'm curious to see where he ends up at his age. He's 30. He's made a lot of money. I would think he would want to go to a contender after being stuck in St. Louis all those years and not competing and not barely winning 7 games a year. So we'll have to see on that. And as I scroll, that's the other thing I forgot to mention about DeMarco Murray. He kind of took a little jab at the Eagles, saying that he feels fresh after taking the year off last year. So, kind of a little knock at them, even though they did him a favor of trading him. It seemed like a disaster from the start. It really did. He just seemed like a malcontent and was not happy in any sense of the word. Excuse me. Here's an interesting signing that I think is perfect for this team. Ladarius Green, the tight end formerly from San Diego, has signed with the Steelers on a 4-year, $20 million contract. You talk about a perfect fit after Heath Miller retires, and you're only left with James Jones as one of your tight ends. This kid, 6'6", 240, really good at running, can run fast, block well. He really showed what he could do when Antonio Gates went down. So he had to move on and find somewhere that, was going to showcase his talent. In other news, Victor Cruz agreed to cut his salary base from $7.9 million to $1.3, which means he's given back $6 million. Otherwise, the Giants probably would have cut him, because he hasn't been able to get on the field since he hurt his knee against the Eagles almost 2 years ago. So, wishing him well, and hopefully he can get back and do a little salsa for everybody. Let's see, some other news. Dwight Freeney is saying he is willing to play one more season before he retires. So it'll be interesting to see who wants to pick him up. If I know he was in Arizona last year and had a pretty good season, just as a pass rush guy, would come in on third downs. He's 36. He had 8 sacks last year. Still looked pretty good with the spin move. It'll be interesting to see if he re-signs with them or goes somewhere else where he could go to a contender. I don't know, like the Patriots, I hate to say, or, maybe somebody like that. I don't know. Here's another player I think that's a good fit. Colby Fleener, who I really like, signed with the Saints for 5 years, $36 million. I think he will flourish in the Saints system, kind of like how Benjamin Watson did this past year, where he kind of came out of nowhere and had a big season with Drew Brees and company. When they really, they had a bunch of no-name receivers, like guys that are not really household names, and he stepped up and had a big year. So I really believe Fleener will step in and do the same, because maybe even better, because he's a lot younger, and he probably could stretch the field more at his age. Another interesting signing was Tyshawn Gibson, formerly of the Browns. The mass exodus of the Cleveland Browns continues. He signs with the Jaguars for 5 years, $35.5 million, $12 million guaranteed. Good for him. I enjoy him. He's a good ball hawking safety, and he's a big upgrade over Josh Evans and Sergio Brown, what they had previously in Jacksonville. But they still need some work on that back end. That's one of their problems. Their secondary is not very good. Not very good at all. And here, Michael Griffin, who I actually used to really like in Tennessee, went and signed a 1-year, $3 million contract with the Vikings. His play has really slipped. However, he's going to be with Mike Zimmer now, so maybe he can kind of help protect him and turn his career back around, because Griffin was a really good safety at one point in time. That should be very interesting to see, just because of being in the NFC North with Aaron Rodgers and Stafford and those guys that really like to, throw it a lot. Here for my 49er friends, the only signing I have for them to date is them signing quarterback Thad Lewis, who was formerly with the Eagles last year, to a 1-year deal. So apparently he's going to be a clipboard holder again in San Francisco. I wish I could give 49ers fans more exciting free agent news, but that's the only signing I see to this point. The other interesting thing that happened yesterday that it very rarely ever happens is that the NFL actually fined the Chiefs $250,000 and stripped them of a third-round pick this year and a sixth-round pick in 2017 for tampering illegally with Jeremy Maclin when he was a free agent last offseason. I don't get what the actual legal tampering is anymore and what's illegal anymore, because you have the 2-day legal tampering window before free agency starts, and then you can sign with a team. So there's like this gray area, because if I'm not mistaken, almost every NFL team does illegal tampering, and why they got busted, I'm not really sure why. I just thought that was kind of odd. Why they were kind of singled out. If you catch my drift. Hang on while I scroll through here for some more news. The Bears signed right tackle Bobby Massey, who originally was with the Cardinals, to a 3-year, $18 million deal and includes $6.5 million guaranteed. That should be a good fit for them, because he started 46 games at right tackle over the last 4 years for Arizona. He's a good, solid run blocker, but he struggles in pass protection. It should help the Bears just for the simple fact of Kyle Long will be able to move back to his original spot on the line as a guard. So that should be able to help Jay Cutler along a little bit, so that he's not getting killed back there. Here's a comical one, at least for me. Matt Schaub has agreed to go back home where he originally came from, which was Atlanta. He's going to be 35 and back up Matt Ryan this year. So, I see that it says the reason he returned was because he liked working under Kyle Shanahan when he was in Houston. So he wanted to go back home and go in a comfortable situation for him, even though he's never going to see the light of day unless something happens to Matt Ryan. This is interesting. I know my Bears fans here will get upset about this. It says here, C.J. Anderson. This is this morning, about 15 minutes ago. This is being reported. C.J. Anderson was about to get on a flight to Chicago to visit the Bears before jumping on a plane instead to visit Miami. He received a call from the Dolphins while he was at the airport and switched his flight. So they fully expect to sign him to an offer sheet now, which means with him being a restricted free agent, the Broncos have 5 days to match. There is other teams bidding on him other than the Dolphins, including the 49ers, Patriots, and the Bears, but they look like they might have missed the boat there which is quite unfortunate. But that's how business goes sometimes in the NFL. They're brutal. Other news just popping up. It said one of ESPN's columnists confirms the Jets now are joining in for a possible trade for Colin Kaepernick. Originally, that was reported last month, maybe 2 months ago, that was his preferred destination. And I don't know if they're really considering it or if it's more so to put pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick to sign his deal that they're offering him for less money. It might just be them garnering leverage to try and get him to sign a deal that they want him to sign. So we'll have to see how that turns out. Bear with me as I keep scrolling through. Nolan Carroll, the former Philadelphia Eagle, will be visiting the Cowboys today. That'll be interesting. Nolan Carroll was one of the Eagles' best corners before he went down with an injury earlier this past season. So that would be quite intriguing to see him join the rival Cowboys. Hang on. This is very interesting. Vernon Davis is meeting with the Redskins of all teams. I don't understand why, with Jordan Reed establishing himself as a top tier tight end, why they would have any concerns of doing that. That's kind of weird. Let's see here as I scroll. Jared Bushrod is going to go visit the Miami Dolphins. Apparently, he's likely to sign because he enjoyed playing with Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator of the Bears last season, who is now their head coach. So that'll be interesting, considering he was a starter, but then lost it after he got a concussion. Let's see. The Vikings are looking to meet with Andre Smith from the Bengals. He's on their top list of players they're looking at. Be interesting because he probably fits because of Mike Zimmer being familiar with him, even though Smith has spent his entire career in Cincinnati. You would figure a lot of the Zimmer players, especially the defensive guys, would want to come over. Let's see. The Patriots are going to meet with Chris Hogan today. He's a restricted free agent, so it looks like the Patriots are going to give him an offer sheet, which the Bills would have 5 days to match. And the Bills tendered him at the lowest level, which was $1.67 million. So if they decide not to match it, they'd get no compensation for him. I think Hogan would be one of those perfect signings for the Patriots, really like under the radar. Kind of like how Julian Edelman was, even though he was drafted by them, but probably Danny Amendola would be a better choice to compare him to. To my Texans friends, other than Brock Osweiler and Lamar Miller being signed yesterday, they added a few other guys. They signed former Raiders center / guard Tony Bergstrom. He's going to be a candidate to replace Ben Jones, who left for the Titans. And the Texans also signed former Chiefs guard Jeff Allen, who is going to take the spot of Brandon Brooks, who left to go to Philly. So that I actually like Jeff Allen. He's usually whatever line he is on, he stabilizes it, and you can usually get a good running game going. He was really solid under Andy Reid. Very solid. Bear with me while I scroll through. Oh, Brandon Browner was cut, which is no shock to anyone that's a Saints fan or follows that team. He was a mess last year. If memory serves me correct, he had the most pass interference penalties in the entire league last year, which is just insane when you think about it. Well, I didn't speak about this guy, but he, I believe, signed before yesterday. Mario Williams signed a 2-year, $16 million deal to go to Miami. They're going to pay him $8 million a year. I like Mario Williams' talent. The problem I have with him is it seems like he tends to quit on teams or not play hard in certain games. Like he'll go and have a 3-sack game and then a 2-sack game, and then he'll go 3, 4, 5 weeks without making an impact. If he was more consistent, I would. If I was a Miami fan, I would feel better about that signing. Let's see here. Bear with me while I scroll through all the signings. There's so many things going on. As I spoke earlier about Malik Jackson, he can actually push his deal up to $90 million. The base of it is $85.5 million from Jacksonville. He gets $10 million just to sign his name, and then a fully guaranteed base salary of $8 million this coming season, and then $13.5 fully guaranteed in 2017. And then in 2018, he has a 13.5 base, but it is only guaranteed for injury. But it becomes fully guaranteed as well on the 5th day of the league year. So that's a really big commitment for the first 3 years to a pretty damn good player that was on Denver. Let's see here. Ben Grubbs from the Chiefs was cut for failing his physical. He had a neck injury last season, so I don't know if it's a career-ending or career-threatening injury, or if it's just something that he couldn't pass a physical at this time because he turned 32 today, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody wants to pick him up and see what he's got left. Lance Dunbar, formerly of the Cowboys, is set to visit the 49ers, I guess, to add some depth with Carlos Hyde. If you're a Cowboys fan, you remember last year that he tore his ACL and MCL in October. But before that, he had set career highs in catches and yards, even though he only appeared in 5 games. So maybe Chip Kelly wants to have Carlos Hyde be the runner and the pounding for the tough yards, and Dunbar be the speedy guy that's gonna come in on third downs and catch passes and screens and those types of things. Speaking of the Cowboys, as their backup quarterback chase continues, they're looking at Matt Moore at the moment. He's coming in to visit, but I'm not a fan of Matt Moore. I never have been. I think that they're going to have to do much better for a backup for Tony Romo if they want to compete if he gets injured again. Here's a crazy stat that I couldn't find it when I was speaking about him previously. Oliver Vernon, the guy that was originally from Miami and signed with the Giants, he received a $20 million signing bonus just to sign on the dotted line, and he got a fully guaranteed $1.75 million this coming season. And he will also get a $7 million roster bonus due in 4 days and $11.25 million in fully guaranteed money in 2017. That's $40 million guaranteed money at the signing, just to sign. Another $12 million he will get in 2018, but is only guaranteed for injury only. And then it converts to being fully guaranteed 3 days into the league year. So in all, if the deal pans out, it's going to pay $29 million in 2016, $41 million through 2017, 54 through 2018, and if he manages to stay healthy and live out the life of the contract, he will get $85 million, which is a ton of money. I like Oliver Vernon, but I really don't think he's worth that kind of money. I really don't. Hang on 1 second while I scroll through. Here's the deal I did not speak of. Chase Daniel, who was originally with the Chiefs, has signed with the Eagles now, and the deal can be worth up to $36 million, which is a staggering amount of money for someone that was supposed to be a backup quarterback, which makes me believe that he will be the starter possibly as soon as this season, and that Sam Bradford will be moved. He gets a $6 million signing bonus, and then he has a base salary of $7 million and $5 million the next 2 seasons, which is starter's money, just about. So you have to believe that this guy is going to be a starter at some point. It's just that's a ton of money to pay a guy that you want as a backup. Bear with me as I scroll through. See if I can find any more exciting news going on. For you Texans fans, it says here Brian Hoyer is probably going to be let go or traded, whichever they can do, because after last season's debacle, they just cannot bring him back. They just cannot. The Jets re-signed, forgive me if I butcher his first name, Bilal, Bilal, Powell. The numbers aren't available yet. However, he was fielding offers of $4 million a year. So it'll be interesting to see how they divide the work between him and Matt Forte now. Even more news on Colin Kaepernick. They're reporting, Albert Breer is reporting that there are serious trust issues between Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers. He's continued to want out even after Chip Kelly was hired. So it looks like that marriage is going to end very badly at some point in the near future. So that'll be, it just remains to be seen where he ends up. Before I jumped on here, I had saw that the Browns were the front runner, but I know the Broncos are interested, the Jets as well, so we'll have to see how that ends up. Well, that is all for the exciting news in the NFL from yesterday and today so far. Since we're not getting any calls for today, we're going to get off here early. I will be doing another show on Saturday to preview WWE Roadblock, which is coming on at 8 o'clock Eastern, I believe, on the WWE Network. So I will come on probably around the same time, give or take. On Saturday, I'll send a message on our Facebook page, facebook.com/American Sports Connection, or our Twitter handle, which is, give me 1 second, I thought I had it up and I did not. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me. Or you can reach us at our Twitter handle at AM Sports CONPOD. I'll say it again. The Twitter handle is at AM Sports CONPOD. I'll post when we'll be on Facebook and Twitter. It'll probably be somewhere between 12 and 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. And we're going to run down the card and everything that's at least been announced to this point. And what I think is going to happen. And, if you guys want to get in and, call in and discuss what you think is going to happen, you can reach me on Skype under American Sports Connection. I'm going to do that on Saturday, and then I'll have a rundown of the results Sunday, probably around the same time. I'll send a message on our social media pages when I'm going to do that. and how I thought things turned out and those types of things. So thanks everyone for watching and listening. I'll see you guys then on Saturday. Thanks again now.